Take on me. Welcome to 5 Points of Articulation. Today I'm taking a look at the McFarlane Toys Gold Label Sketch Edition Hush Batman. Huge thanks to McFarlane Toys for making this video possible by sending him to me to review. Starting with the packaging, and here's a little something new to the palette, though we do have our familiar gold label letting us know it's an exclusive, Sketch Edition banner up here, window to the trading card showing us the said sketch, and some nice paper texture printed on the box. This is a limited edition, restricted to only 4,800 pieces, names and logos on the spine, very nicely embossed DC logo up top, and an iconic Jim Lee style Batman sketch on the back. The whole thing is actually a sleeve you can remove to reveal the figure and accessories inside. I really like that they tried something new, and the black tray really helps that Batman figure to pop. There is some dead space that could possibly be better utilized, but for packaging, I'm giving this Batman 5 points. Moving on to presentation, and Hush stands at about 7.5 inches, or 18.5 centimeters. I've made several videos about DC Multiverse's Hush Batman over the last couple of years, so there's not a whole lot new here to talk about regarding the body. Most of these pieces were originally used for 3 Jokers and Batman Year 2, the fisted hands being a holdover from that. For this edition, it all comes down to the paint job. Each figure in the 4,800 piece run has been individually hand painted, and a lot of care and consideration went into it. Generally speaking, the light source is coming from here, so I really do love the contrasting of shadows. For instance, how nicely the ears stand out against the background. Same thing with the fins. A lot of care and attention clearly went into the shadow placement. Case in point, the stomach accentuating the fabric tugs instead of the abs. It would have been very easy to make the cape all one solid piece, so I do appreciate the shading there. And also on the back, where a lot of people might never see it. The depth created by sections like this really do stand out to me. That's not to say I don't have some criticisms, mind you. The name of this collection is Sketch Edition, and the whole point is to evoke this style of artwork. The box even goes out of its way to have the cards side by side to draw intentional comparison. But stylistically, this is very different from this. With a pencil sketch, you get a much greater appreciation for the darker blacks than the lighter grays, and with Jim Lee in particular, there's a lot more cross-thatching to convey shadows. This figure, by literal contrast, is a solid black and white. I'm not saying it doesn't look good, but it doesn't look like a sketch. It looks a lot more like an inked page. For comparison, DC Collectibles did a very similar collection based on Jim Lee artwork called the Blue Line series. This featured New 52 style versions of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, and more like a pencil sketch, it was painted in gray with all that cross-thatching highlighting each individual line in detail. As beautifully sculpted as McFarlane figures can be, that is something I would love to see. Not just the broad strokes, but each individual line given love and attention. It looks great how they did the fabric tugs, but imagine if all of it was detailed. The funny thing is, if they just called it the inked edition, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. Again, I would have liked the Sketch Edition Batman to look more like a sketch and less like an ink drawing, but for what it does still look good, and the fact that it's hand painted is really impressive. Meeting in the middle, and for presentation, I'm giving Sketch Edition Batman 4 points. If you're enjoying this video so far, do me a favor and give it a like. Moving on to Poseability, and we've already seen this Batman before and what it can do, so I'm gonna be brief. Instead of the typical dumbbell at the base of the skull, we have a ball joint at the base of the neck. Because of the bunching of the cape, he can't really look up all that much, but he can really bury the chin. Batman also has tilt, and all the way around. Moving on down, and Batman can raise his arms over 90 degrees. He also gets a little bit of extra direction thanks to that rotator cuff. Moving down the arm, and Batman has bicep swivel, double jointed elbow, and while I'm here, if I might say, I appreciate that they painted the pins instead of leaving them white. And then at the ends of the arms, and Batman has wrist balls that can swivel and hinge either up and down or side to side. Moving to the middle, and Bruce has a diaphragm joint and a dumbbell waist. He's got a pretty decent amount of arch back, but one of the bigger areas of opportunity for this particular body mold is his inability to hunch forward. That said, he does get a great amount of tilt and twist at both the diaphragm and waist. Below the utility belt, and Batman has the typical McFarlane hips. He can kick in the ballpark arc of 90 degrees, but he does get a perfect split. No thigh cut, of course, but there is a very good amount of rotation in the hip. And then moving down, Bruce has double jointed knees with a nice deep bend, toe articulation, and McFarlane ankle balls that can swivel, hinge, and like the DC Multiverse, Hush Batman from black and gray to blue and gray to black and gray again, and now to black and white. Pivot. In terms of articulation, this figure is really only held back by the diaphragm joint and the limited range in the neck. For poseability, I'm giving this Batman 4 points. Moving on to playability, and in terms of accessories, this is pretty consistent with what we've seen with other versions of Hush Batman. I've already shown you the trading card, but flipping it around we see it actually acts as a certificate of authenticity. This particular figure is P7. This is also where we learned that all the figures were individually hand-painted. One thing I didn't show you before though is that he comes with a trading card stand. It's the same as the black and silver ones that we get with the collector editions, but this time cast in white and black. Making the base color white was a good choice that helps it to stand out from the regular ones. Mine's just the littlest bit fuzzy, but at normal eye level you probably really wouldn't notice. Also, with these being hand painted, just because mine has a problem doesn't mean that yours will. Speaking of displays, he does come with a figure stand, and this time the DC logo has been stamped in a nice crisp white. Otherwise, and in addition to the accessory holding and fist hands he comes preloaded with, he also has an additional fist and more open hand. That accessory and open hand are perfect for these batarangs. I am pleased to see that those were given some shading as well. This one fits in the accessory holding hand like so, and this one fits in the more open hand like so. Hands have been one of my long-standing frustrations with Hush Batman, mainly that half the hands are these uniquely sculpted normal gloved versions, whereas the other half are reused from 3 Jokers with this ribbing. As such, mixing and matching them always kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. It's not an issue to this particular version, but one I would like to see them work on moving forward. Of course, playability is more than just accessories, it's also about how well your figure plays with others, but unfortunately I don't have any other Sketch Edition figures to compare them to. That said, and for my patent-pending relative scale comparison, here's the Sketch Batman with Pizza Spidey and the Spectacular Spider-Man, and as always, here he is with Stealth Iron Man. While I'm here though, longtime viewer Adrian's been asking for a comparison of Detective Comics 27 Batman with The Dark Knight Returns and Hush Superman. Sorry for the long wait, and hope this helps. Judging the playability of a figure like this is challenging because it's really more of a display piece, so in a situation like this, the accessories do the heavy lifting. The extra hands and batarangs are pretty standard for this Batman, and lest we forget the trading card stand. Additionally, while I might not have any, there are other Sketch Edition figures that you can display them with. Taking all that into account, and for playability, I'm giving this figure 5 points. This leaves us with nothing left to discuss but the price. The Hush Batman Sketch Edition was an Entertainment Earth exclusive and retailed for $29.99. I say retailed in the past tense because as of this recording, it's sold out. This is the perfect kind of store exclusive in that it's fun for those who want it, but not essential for those who don't. For those who like what they see and missed out, I am seeing it on eBay for only $35. As aftermarket prices go, that's honestly not that bad. Balancing the retail price with availability, aftermarket value, accessories, and that hand-painted quality, and for price, I'm giving the gold label Sketch Edition Hush Batman 4 points, averaging out to a grand total of 4.4 out of 5. Once again, huge thanks to McFarlane Toys for making this video possible. If you like this video, check out one of these. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back again real soon, but until then, play nice and have fun.